Hi, I'm Jeff the 420 Chef. I am a cannabis chef. I am the author of the 420 Gourmet Cookbook. I'm the inventor of light-tasting canna butter and canna oil, the inventor of the THC calculator for homemade edibles, and I am now the founder of the soon-to-be-released Cannabis cooking channel. So I'm really into this cannabis cuisine. November 9th, 2016. Do any of you know what that date is? It has nothing to do with Joe Walsh, by the way, if you guys know who I'm talking about. November 9th, 2016, that's the day after the election, and that is a day when most probably we are going to reach the tipping point in the cannabis industry where we're going to be adding possibly 5 new states to the recreational marijuana list of states that are now recreationally legal. And we're also going to be adding another 4 states, hopefully, to the medical marijuana states. So that would bring that up to about 29 medical marijuana states and 10 states that are, including the District of Columbia, of course, that are going to be allowing cannabis to be used as either medicine or even recreationally. California is one of those recreational states, just so you know. All right, so I am very honored to be here today to speak to you about the marvels of the new cannabis edible experience. It's a whole new world out there from where we were even 3 and 4 years ago. How'd I get here? I'll give you 2 seconds about myself. I used to be an underwear marketer building up some pretty big underwear brands. It's crazy how I went from being an underwear executive to being one of the top cannabis chefs, actually they tell me, I guess, in the world. There's not many of us, but ultimately, you know, each one of us is a pioneer in our own way. And my whole claim to fame here is that I invented light-tasting canna butter and canna oil, and I also figured out how to do dosing properly, which has always been a really hard thing when it comes to edibles. Cannabis as food, cannabis as medicine, it's been around for a very, very long time. Dating back, way back when China 6000 BCE, cannabis was used as medicine. They found a prehistoric tomb 120,000 years old with a little jar of cannabis buried with the bodies. Even the Egyptian goddess Seshat, who's the goddess of wisdom, is pictured with a cannabis leaf over her head. That was all great until 1937, at least here in the United States, and many other countries followed suit, when cannabis, after enjoying a 5,000-plus year reign or history as a therapeutic agent across so many cultures, was all of a sudden vilified and made illegal in 1937. In the 1970s, it was further made even more quote-unquote dangerous when it was added to the Substance Act, and it was scheduled as a Schedule I drug, which, according to the government, that meant that it was addictive and it was a terrible drug for you, and that there was no medicinal value to that drug at all. That's not true, as we all know now. It's not true because we know that cannabis is the only plant, the only substance on the planet that can do something that nothing else can do, and that supplement what we all have in our bodies, which is recently discovered, which is our endocannabinoid system. And the primary function of our endocannabinoid system is to maintain homeostasis or balance within the cells of our body. Now, when you are having some sort of a break in your endocannabinoid system, so if you imagine that you've got this wheel that's running in your body, right? And as long as it's complete and it's running smoothly, you're healthy, right? But if there's a break in that endocannabinoid system, then you have an issue. And you can have anything from migraines to cancers and tumors, fibromyalgia, PMS pain. That's because there is a break in your endocannabinoid system. So what cannabis can do is the only substance on the planet that can do this is it can actually bridge the gap through certain receptors, the CB1 receptor and CB2 receptors in your body, and help you to feel better by adding in those cannabinoids that you need so that you can feel better. This is just a partial list of 145 different ailments that can be helped with cannabis. But this is cannabis as medicine, and this is a food conference, and we're not going to talk about that, but just so you know, this is why it's so popular. The key ingredients in cannabis we all know about: THC. THC is psychoactive, but when it's in the raw plant itself, it's not psychoactive. You actually have to cook it, or what they call decarboxylate it, by putting it in a certain temperature, putting under a certain temperature for a certain amount of time to actually remove the acid molecule, which starts out as THCA, on the plant, to remove the A, and it becomes THC, and that's what we all fondly know as the psychoactive compound in cannabis. But something that was recently discovered is this incredibly powerful medicine in addition to THC, which is called CBD, cannabidiol. And CBD is one of those very special compounds that specifically sticks to one receptor in your body, the CB2 receptor. And when you have this THC that attaches to your CB1 receptor, which is psychoactive, it makes you feel really great and relieves anxiety, etc. And then you have a CB2 that's known for helping with relieving pain and shrinking tumors and killing cancer cells. And you have all that in your body. Now all of a sudden you have this plant that's helping to supplement your endocannabinoid system and making you feel better. And last but not least, and especially because we're here at a foodie conference, are terpenes. And terpenes are the essential oils that give the cannabis its taste and its smell. So we're going to keep that in mind as we move forward. So cannabis is food. Hemp is cannabis. It's the same thing. When you're eating hemp seeds, believe it or not, you're ingesting cannabis. It may not have the THC, it's not going to make you high, but actually hemp seeds are one of the most nutritionally valuable plants on the planet. They're a superfood. They're rich in vitamins and minerals. They're healthy in omega-3s, and they're rich in omega-6 acids. They're a great source and a complete protein. I walk up next to my plants all the time, and I pick off a leaf, and I know that it's protein. It has a lot of great things that it's putting into my body. And the hemp seeds contain all the essential amino acids and essential fatty acids necessary to maintain healthy human life. It can't be bad. It's just not bad. It's also easy to digest, it's 100% vegan, it's dairy-free, and it's gluten-free. So, I mean, come on, seriously? It's one of the greatest things on the planet for many different reasons. Cannabis and food dates back over 2,000 years. They make bang in India. It's an amazing drink where for over 2,000 years they've been just taking the leaves and the flour and grinding it up and mixing it with ghee and mangoes and spices to get this incredibly delicious drink. We all remember the wee brownies from the 60s. And today we have, these are my hazy Thai wings, gourmet cannabis cuisine, which is really a lot of fun. Now, when you walk into a dispensary, for those of you who have medical recommendations, how many of you have medical recommendations for cannabis here? Oh, very nice. All right. Well, fantastic. And, you know, if you don't have a medical recommendation, wait a couple of weeks. It might be going legal recreationally, so maybe you'll be able to get it, you know, then. But ultimately, if you walk into a dispensary today, you're going to find awesome food. Chocolates, Kiva chocolates, taste amazing. There's no cannabis taste. Gummy bears, soda. You can also get your traditional cookies or gourmet pastries like macarons, all infused with cannabis. So the bar has really been raised, and it's really only been the past really year or so. So we're really at the cutting edge of the trend. So chefs, cannabis, and culinary diversity is all about whatever you can do with butter and oil, you can do with cannabis. So what I did is I learned how to take out the flavor from the cannabis when I infuse my butters and oils, because you can really only infuse a high fat with cannabis. You can't put cannabis into boiling water and say this is cannabis tea and then get all the effects from it. It just doesn't work that way. Cannabis, the cannabinoids on the cannabis leaf are hydrophobic, meaning that they don't come off in water, but they do come off in high fat. So you just take your cannabis, you do a few things to it that I describe in my cookbook, the 420 Gourmet, and you basically, you take out as much of the flavor as you can, and you infuse a butter or an oil. I love using coconut oil or olive oil or grass-fed butter. Don't use regular butter, only grass-fed butter. It's high in CLA, it's the best thing for you. And then you can cook whatever you want with it. I've got pots of all soup over there, okay? Those are crazy fish tacos. That is a pineapple cannabis-infused souffle, Blintz souffle. And of course, you can get even more creative. You have what's my canna chicken, sesame chicken salad. Those are hazy Thai wings. Anybody here been to Portland? And ever eat a pok pok? Okay, those wings taste exactly, or better than, Pok Pok's wings, okay? And they're infused. But each one is infused with a very low dose. I'm going to get to that in a second, but it's very important to understand dosing and understand that you don't want to go too far, because how many of you have had a bad experience with edibles? Whoa, I love you guys. I'm going to redeem all of you now, because the reason why you had that bad experience is because nobody knew or told you or were able to tell you the potency of the edibles that you were eating. So you were eating edibles, you had no clue what the strain was going to do to you, it tasted pretty bad probably, and you ended up for 3 days wondering where the hell you were, right? I'm sure I've been there, so I know some of you have probably been there. But it's not like that today. We know now that 10 milligrams of THC, because THC is the one that really has the effect on you, 10 milligrams of THC is a standard dose. I start most people off with about 5 milligrams and then help them work their way up. But you can do the most amazing things as long as you dose properly. Those wings are only at 1 to 1.5 grams per milligrams per wing, which means that you can have 3 of those wings and just feel a little bit. You could do a whole entire meal, and you can do that salad at 1 milligram. You can do the wings at 1.5 milligrams. You can do the Barecas at another milligram, and you're, the star of the show. That's my fake and bacon cheeseburger, which is totally vegan, okay? That can be 3 milligrams, and at the end of the day, you're at about 10 milligrams, and you're feeling really good. But it takes 2 hours to kick in, so don't think it's not working. Wait, I promise you. I've had so many experiences. People are like, oh, I don't feel anything. I'm like, wait. 2 hours later, they're like, whoa, this is really good. All right, so just to understand what it takes to be a cannabis chef, it is daunting. It's daunting right now because there are so many states going through so many things and so many municipalities in those states that are going through so many things. Everybody wants to make money. Right? Everybody wants a piece of the action, but there's a lot of people on the other side that don't even want this near them. So what happens is each one of the states, each one of the cities, municipalities that I visit, I have to learn the laws. Because what I can do in San Jose, I can't do in LA. What I can do in LA, I can't do in San Francisco. What I do in San Francisco, I can't do in Seattle. I mean, it's crazy. But if you want to be a cannabis chef or you want to cook with cannabis, just brush up on the law before you go to where you're going to be doing this, so you understand what's happening. All right, the next step is to be a connoisseur. Way back when you only had marijuana. Ooh, I want to get some. Great. Nowadays, there are over 2,500 different strains. Each strain with different effects, each strain coming from a different subspecies of the plant. You have sativa and you have indica. Well, a sativa strain will basically make you feel creative and uplifted and full of energy like me right now, right? Or an indica might make an indica will make you feel a lot more relaxed, couch locked, like some of you out there. Okay, and you also have to understand the cannabinoid profiles, their potency, and the effects. And it's really important to understand the terpenes that started out within the cannabis that you're using to infuse your butter, because when you're processing it, you lose the terpenes. So as a chef, you need to be able to add the terpenes back in. So if I'm using a strain, for example, that I know has the right CBD and THC ratio, and I also know that it had, for example, limonene in it, which is citrus-based, right? But when I process my oil and butter, I lost the limonene. It's really easy. All I got to do is add something with citrus into the menu, because a terpene is a terpene. So whether you get that terpene from the cannabis or you get the terpene from another food source at the same time, the THC and CBD and terpenes work together, something called the entourage effect, to really help you feel the effects that strain is going to impart. So you really should know about this. Terpenes are very, very important. All right. So if you want to be a chef, or you want to cook at home, or you want to host a 420 gourmet meal, you need to know how many courses you're going to have, your desired outcome. How do you want your guests to feel? We did a party in Portland when they went legal. It was amazing. We had 18 people. We divided them up into 2 different groups of 9. We gave one group of the people sativa-based edibles, and we gave another one indica-based edibles. It was incredible. The sativa table, they had, a ringmaster at the top of the table, like, oh, having a great time. They're all laughing and whatever. The people who had the indica were inside in this involved in this crazy deep discussion about I have no clue what. All I know is they were all having an amazing time, and they were talking till 3 in the morning while the other people outside were busy dancing and having a really good time. So, it was pretty amazing. Also, you have to focus on being responsible with your dosing, and low dosing is key. I always say, go low and go slow, because it's going to creep up on you. The edible experience is very different than when you smoke or you ingest cannabis in a different way, so be aware of that. And of course, you want to make sure that when you have a meal, you want to serve what I call matching virgins. Right? So if I'm going to make those hazy Thai wings that are infused, I'm going to make another batch of Thai wings that are not infused. They're going to taste exactly the same, but one's going to be in a green bowl and one's going to be in a white bowl. If you take the ones from the green bowl, well, you know what's going to happen then. So just, you keep that in mind. And then, of course, make sure that you reincorporate the terpenes back into your meals. When you're doing a cannabis-infused meal, ambiance is key. As a chef, you have to monitor and educate everybody that's there on a consistent basis. You have to talk to them, see how they're feeling, explain to them what the strain is that they're ingesting, explain to them everything that you really know that they need to know, and make sure, beyond anything, that they're safe. Which brings me to my next point here. If you're going to do a cannabis dinner, if you host it yourself or if somebody else hosts it for you, make sure that you have an Uber clause. And what that is I make sure that every single guest at my dinners goes home in either a Lyft or an Uber or some other sort of share ride. And I make sure that when I do dinners for people, even the biggest celebrities out there, I'm like, you must guarantee me that the people that you're going to be having at your dinners are going to be going home in an Uber or a Lyft or something like that, because guess what? It takes 2 hours for it to kick in. If you are eating and you're having a really great time and you're not feeling anything, and all of a sudden you're driving home, and it's 2.5 hours later, you're like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. Is that a red light or a green light? So you want to make sure that that people are safe, okay? And one last thing I'll just leave you with, if you're really going to do this right, you have to have fun. I want my dinners to be memorable. I want people to have a great time, and I want to do things that, in addition to the conversation and the friendship and the camaraderie and everything that's going on, to have something to talk about afterwards for weeks after, even months after, even longer. And what I like to do is something like, for example, a miracle fruit challenge. I don't know, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the miracle fruit, right? So the miracle fruit, basically what it does is changes your taste buds and reverses them around a little bit. So anything that's really sour and bitter tastes really sweet. Anything that's really sweet tastes even sweeter. It's really crazy. So what we'll do is we'll give them a miracle fruit and say, okay, now you're going to take out a plate with strawberries and limes and maybe some basil or something and say, let's try these. And you'll be so shocked to see that they're all going to go for the limes first, and they're going to eat the limes with the peel. Guaranteed, because it tastes that sweet. And then they go for the strawberries and the basil, and they want more because they're just having such a great time. Or another memorable thing you can do is, do the espresso strawberry challenge, where they take some espresso and they wash it down and back, over their tongue, and then they have a strawberry, and that strawberry tastes like no strawberry they've ever had before. So it's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. I'm thinking, at this point in time, we're at the cusp where there's so many ways that this can go in the culinary world. I mean, in 5 years from now, we might just have a Michelin star chef or a Michelin restaurant, right, that's infusing their foods with cannabis. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. Some of the other speakers, Karen was amazing. She put up that piece of that purple sweet potato, and the first thing that came to my mind was a purple sweet potato pot pie. So thank you very, very much for your time. I appreciate everything.